So what happens, what other players in this? Since all the antibiotics, we have the pharmaceutical company. I wrote RX because I don't know how to spell pharmaceutical. So we have the pharmaceutical companies making billions on this as well. So we have to create tons of antibiotics and other medications to make sure that the animals don't get sick, or don't die, I should say. They're going to get sick anyway. They have lots of cancers, lots of tumors. These animals still wind up on the dinner table. You might have all seen the report when all these downed cows were shown in a certain factory farm. It was all over the press years ago. All these downed cows, meaning cows that were not really legally allowed to be served or to be used, and yet they would push them around and make sure that they got up once in a while, and they were used in the factory farms. Okay? Forgetting animal cruelty and all that, that's a whole separate issue. I'm talking about human health, and just because the downed cow event happened at a certain point in time, don't ever imagine that this wasn't happening for years before. It isn't still happening. It's not like video, reporters are going into these factory farms every day. So these are tough places, these factory farms, with very bad hygiene and very bad standards eventually. You can't get around it.
That's why everyone should become a vegetarian.
We'll get to that. I wouldn't go that far. Well, it would be nice, but I wouldn't go that far. So what are the players we have here? We have the genetically modified grains, we have the animals, and we have the pharmaceutical industries. This is telling us that the companies that make the GE seeds are getting rich because there's more than ever where we have almost whole of the Midwest and Iowa creating genetically modified corn for us. We have half of the rainforest almost, so much of the rainforest creating genetically modified soy and genetically modified animals in a way for us. So these certain companies are getting very wealthy selling this type of seed. I don't have time to go into all of it about genetic engineering, but I would recommend the movie The Future of Food. If you're more interested in genetically modified food and what's going on with all that, look at The Future of Food or their website. So all of these coming together comes to where? If we take the corn, soy, the animals, and the antibiotics, where do they all meet? With us. But how do we get it?
In our stomach.
Stomach, we get it, yeah. And before the stomach, it goes to supermarkets and fast food chains. Supermarkets and fast food restaurants, correct? Now, earlier I said to you, before we actually began the talk, I said, how many of you feel that these huge corporations and multinationals are a problem? Many of you said it is a problem to you, and many of you said that the environment's a huge problem. So there's a real link here. We can't have a billion-dollar industry without a link to the environment and to our governmental policy. In fact, to give you an idea how strong these policies are, and how strong these governments are, I should say, influencing the policy, all the taxpayers in this country are paying money to subsidize the growing of genetically modified corn. Corn is a subsidized crop. It's seen as that important to our farm bill. It's kind of ridiculous, but that's the fact. Now, we get to the supermarkets and the fast food restaurants, and we get the cheapest, hugest variety of food that mankind has ever known. Right here in a small town here in New Paltz, we can go to a supermarket, and it's like, we can get food from around the world. We get food shipped from anywhere in the world, and we get upset if they're out of something. I know I do. If I go there and they don't have what I want, what are they doing? What's wrong with this place? Where, it's how easy is it to forget that just like, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, there was none of this, right? How do we break the cycle? How do we do something about this? You can make phone calls to the government, you can make phone calls to these corporations, but this is a good thing to do, but probably the most you'll get is a thank you, a friendly thank you in an email. What we really can do is cut it off, break that, not buy it. That's where our personal responsibility really comes into play. And it's kind of a catch-22. You know, many of us want to take one hand and point the finger at these big CEOs and the big companies and saying, we don't like you personally, we don't like what you're doing, you know, we don't agree with it. But then on the other hand, due to economics, we say, well, here's $10, I'd like to have, you know, a lot of food for that. This food tastes really good. You have two different hands giving two different messages. It's not a very clear message. Or maybe I should say it is a clear message. What's the clear message to the companies? Well, they understand money. These multinationals only understand money. They don't understand the emails, they don't understand the picketing. If enough people are giving their money to buy the product, it's going to keep being produced, right? Is it Aaron?
Yeah.
Do you want to buy this eraser, Aaron? It's a really good eraser.
No, I'm okay.
No, it's only $10.
No, I'm okay.
What about for $7?
No.
Okay. He can make a choice. He can choose not to buy this eraser, and people who don't know good erasers like Aaron will never get this eraser. But if people choose not to buy this, eventually it will either go away. I don't really believe it's going to completely go away, but let's say it'll be minimized. And these huge companies, the companies that deal in the billions of dollars, will have to change their program. They'll have to take new items and have new ideas into the equation to be sold. So in the end, it's really our choice. Every individual can choose what to do.